All right. I want to say thank you for joining again. And I sincerely do appreciate your feedback. And please, whatever you think needs to be done to improve the class, please let me know in the comment section. I am very much open to criticisms. So, ex- constructive ones. I'm trying my best to see um, that I can teach these things in the simplest way possible. And that's why some of the videos are long. And in fact, if you feel that the videos should be shorter, please just anything you feel about the videos, please just let me know in the comment section. And I want to encourage you guys to subscribe, to like the videos. When you click that thumb up, it also helps the video to get to other people who possibly do not know about this content. And turn on your notification bell so that you can always get notified when a new video is released. So we're beginning a different thing altogether. And what we want to look at is text. And I would like to say that this, and I don't want to scare you, but this is a little bit more complex than where we're coming from. It's not as complex as it may seem. Like I said, I will try to demystify the whole thing so that it's clear. We've looked at numbers, and let's look at text, because if we look at this program, we see that all these components that we've discussed so far are actually inherent in it. So for instance, price has to do with a number, right? It has to do with numbers. Payment has to do with numbers. However, when you look at item, an item is not a number. An item is a text, right? So how do we represent texts in Python? So it turns out that Python can manipulate text, and it's represented by that type str. If you recall the last program that we looked at together, and okay, I think I still have it here, where we have this number equal to input, enter a number, and then we enter that number, which is an integer. I mean, to you it looks like an integer, but when we did check the type, we saw that it's a string. And so how does Python really represent a string? So it turns out that whenever you see, I think, let me just create a new file altogether, a new Python file, and I would call this string lesson. So in this string lesson, I just want to show you a few things. Now, if we have a text, say food equal to, the way you know that a string is a string is that anything you see embedded in a quote, it could be a double quote, it could be a single quote. And in fact, you even have something like this. And we will come to this at a much later time. But for now, just know that for texts, the way you figure out that something is a text or it's a string is by looking at the quotes. And so if I say that food equal to spam and egg, that's a string. And if I try to print out the type of food, I will see that it's a string actually. And so let me just run that file. As you can see, that's a string. str just means string. But there are a few things that we can do with this, because I mean, if this is just all about it, why did I say it's complex, right? One of the things that you might probably want to do, so take for instance, you want to write I don't um, so let's say the statement is maybe um, um, let's say it's or dislikes. So let's say we want to know what the dislikes of a person is. And like I said, whether I use a single quote or double quote, both work equally the same way. And so think of it like this. Dislikes equal to, and let's say this is a statement. You say, I don't like sugar, for instance. I don't like sugar. This is very much okay because we've used a double quote outside. We've used double quotes here as well. And of course, mind you that whatever you use at the beginning, the kind of quote you use at the beginning should also be the one to close it. So I can't do something like this, for instance. I started that with a single quote and then I end it with a double quote. That's unacceptable. And as you can see, it's already yelling there. So whatever quote you start with, that's what you also end with. But one rule I want to make here, and one thing I want you to notice here, is that we also have a quote right inside here, right? And this still works fine. Absolutely works fine. If I print dislikes, I would see that I don't like sugar. But how about if I change this to a single quote? What happens? Let's say I change this to a single quote. You can see that it's already yelling at me that there's a problem. And what's the problem? When it started reading this, it sees a single quote. It continues reading, and then it sees another single quote in its mind. Now, speaking in the sense of computing, right? It believes that this is the end of this entire string, and there's nothing more to it. And so at this point, from this point starting forward, it's more like this is not a string. This possibly is another variable or something else, but this is not a string. And the reason it's not recognized is because it's already closed. So if we have to continue this, you will probably be thinking that, okay, maybe we should just include this here. And of course, why not? We can. But as you can see, what did you see? That quote isn't there again. Look at the result. Look at what we have here, the output. You can't see that quote again. I don't. And so this is not working, right? Because now we've tried to resolve this problem by including another quote. But when we go out to print, we don't see that quote there. So how can we resolve this? So say, for instance, we want to use the single quote. That is where we need something called the escape character. With the escape character, which of course is represented in many languages as the backslash, what that does is that it tells Python, or it tells the interpreter, in this case, that I mean what I am typing there. I'm not expecting you to close with that quote. What I want you to do is escape that quote. Make it print out the way it is. And so this escape sequence, there are lots of them. Some of them you would probably not even use, but a few of them that I think are commonly used are the \n, which is for new line. This is for new line. And I think we've seen that one before. This is for tab. So if you have a tab, you can use that. There is also for this, in the event that you want to escape a double quote, because we can also have double quote here and we won't have a problem. So anything you put anything you have in front of this backward slash, it turns out that it escapes it as long as it's a recognized escape character. So it's not all characters that are escape characters. So we have this one, which is to escape a single quote. And why I said all characters are not escape is that if you try to do this, for instance, this doesn't make sense. As you can see, it's not even showing like it's escaping anything. So let me get back into this place, and for now I'm just going to comment this. I don't want this video to be too long. I would run this, and as you can see, we have the quote again. Look at this place. We now have the quote just because we've escaped it. And if we want double quote there, we can do this. If you try to run that, as you can see, we have double quote. And that'll be, I want to break this video into 2 different sections. And so I'll see you in the next section, but we'll still continue to talk about this concept because there's a lot more to it than what we've done so far. But I hope this is clear enough and you're able to look at someone's code. Next time you look at someone's code, you're able to tell what's happening. In case you see this escape character and you see the escape sequence, you can tell, okay, this is exactly what happened. And if you see a quiz, you can easily tell that this is going to print this. So see you in the next video. We'll continue with this. I just don't want it to be too long. Take care. Have a good time. Bye.